open to feedback with respect to how we are in fact providing a policing service to the community. So that is always incredibly important to a detachment or anybody within the RCMP. So we certainly value the input. I think the concern that we have, and myself specifically, pertains to comments about inaccurate information that I in fact provided to BC Liberties. And from my perspective, that couldn't be farther from the truth. The bottom line is, when that particular investigation occurred, I met with Aboriginal leaders, significant people within the community of Prince George who are identified as Aboriginal leaders, and through that course of the consultation, then we identified a civilian oversight. When I was asked by the BC Liberties whom I spoke to, I explained that yes, the meeting did occur with Aboriginal leaders, and that I was advised of who their recommended civilian oversight was, and in response to that, then that's who we selected. So when further clarification was sought as to whom I spoke to, I wasn't prepared to provide that information. And the reason being is when I first became the detachment commander, I was approached by significant leaders within the community who stated that they would be more than willing to come and act as advisors as well as counsel to myself in ensuring that we are continuing to broaden our relationships with our First Nations communities and specifically the people that reside within the community of Prince George. Mr. Eby was concerned about whether or not the Carrier-Secani Tribal Council had been consulted. I made it very clear through the correspondence that at no time did I say that I consulted with the Carrier-Secani Tribal Council, and I've never said that I've consulted with them. So I guess my concern is very specifically that Aboriginal leaders come in very many forms, and they're not always recognized as political leaders. They're in fact representatives of many agencies. There are those that would actually say that I am an Aboriginal leader, and so from my perspective, who my advisory members are is something that's held in confidence, and that I need to have that relationship with them, and that they feel comfortable and confident in actually interacting with me. So they know who they are, I know who they are, and a meeting did in fact take place. But I'm not prepared to disclose that in a public forum. I would think it's very important that we remain very focused on the actual incident itself and ensuring that we're providing a very thorough and transparent investigation. Anytime somebody comes to the detachment and actually makes the complaint, that in fact is investigated very thoroughly. And if there's a conflict or a perceived conflict as to the people that are doing the investigation at the detachment, I know that there's other resources to take access or to have access to do those investigations, whether it's from the North District, whether it's from professional standards, whether it's from an external policing agency. In particular, our most recent investigation is being reviewed by the Vancouver Police Department, so that's completely external to the RCMP. And when their findings are disclosed, then they'll in fact be shared. But I think it's really important to recognize that it's about the individual themselves and the complaints that are brought forward and the fact that they're treated fairly as well as professionally.